Round 3 of the Junior GP World Championship heads to the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours. Now, it's a technical track here in France, and well, we have plenty of action coming up for you here today. It's the first time that the Junior GP paddock has came to France since 2019. As we head to this technical circuit, plenty of overtaking opportunities for our riders, and of course, the long lap penalty located at turn 8. 4.4 kilometers in distance, 17 turns to master, and well, within that, there's plenty of hard braking zones, fast layouts, and also 8 left turns. First on our schedule here today is going to be the Moto2 class. We have 5 races coming up on your schedule, so make sure you keep tuned in throughout the action. But first, we look back on Jerez, and well, it was a round to remember. The Moto2 World Championship headed off with bars banging at the start, and well, there's plenty of action all the way as Radri took the lead on the opening laps. Both Eric Fernandez and Alberto Fernandez kept tabs on them throughout the race. The pace was hot at the front as Radri, well, he began to push hard. The Bosco was looking strong all the way throughout the weekend. It was scorching conditions from start to finish as Radri was able to storm away at the front. Alberto Sura also made some moves as well. It was going down to the final lap for the podium positions and for the final places inside the top 5. Radri was kept under pressure throughout the closing stages, but as the checker flag waved, it was the number 10 who secured victory, and well, now he leads the championship to the delight of his team. It was big celebrations on the podium all the way as now they head to France. But of course, earlier here today, we did take part in a minute's silence in honor of Borja Gomez, who we tragically lost on Thursday.
Esta carrera, el europeo de la categoría Scope, el campeonato de Europa de la categoría Scope. Seguidamente,
A touching tribute there for Borja Gomez, who of course will remain in our hearts. Borja was a key member of this paddock, and most recently we had the pleasure of experiencing his success in the Stock European Championship as he became a true title contender in 2025. We joined the paddock and the wider motorcycle racing community to remember a true character, a special talent, and a rider who will never be forgotten. Our thoughts throughout today will remain with his family and friends as we continue to race today in honor of Borja Gomez. And well, as we said, first up on our schedule here today, we will have the Moto2 class. And there's been plenty of tributes flooded in across social media and on the paddock, many of which you'll see on the grid here today. Plenty of number 12s on loads of riders' machines, and also black ribbons on the fair ends. And it's been a tough weekend for the whole paddock, for the wider Junior GP family. And now the Moto2 class, they are first up here today. And well, the conditions from yesterday in qualifying, they are slightly colder, to say the least, and also we've had some spots of rain in the air, of course. Myself, Lewis Ray, alongside me for this weekend has been Jack Amy, and well, Jack, it's going to be a tough race for these Moto2 riders.
Yes, it is going to be a tough race. As you mentioned, the conditions from yesterday were scorching hot. It was high 20s. Today, it's cloudy. As you said, a bit of rain earlier. It affected the ETC last chance race. It appears to have dried up a bit.
This weekend is fatally for my friend. I lose my friend Borja Gomez, so I'm so sad for the families, for all the around him. But at the end, we make the pole position. We are happy for the work, all the work we make in the preseason, all the weekend. The feeling is very good, so we need to be happy and let's go to how was tomorrow in the races. We are looking for the weather because it's possible it's raining one race or both races. So let's see. If it's good conditions, let's go to push, to go alone or not too many riders, because we have a very good pace, very good fast lap. So let's go to keep pushing. And if it's raining, let's go to be calm. We are good raining. So let's go to Havos tomorrow.
So that was your pole sitter, Xabi Zurutuza, who, well, as he said, there's a chance of rain in the air today. So far, it looks like the Moto2 riders might be able to escape that. And as you can see on the front of his bike, riding for you, Borja Gomez in number 12. So touching stuff there from Zurutuza, who's got a tough task at hand. It's a very, very competitive field all the way throughout the weekend. And well, as we've seen in qualifying, scorching conditions for him. And now a completely new challenge to go from P1.
Exactly. As we mentioned, different challenge. His first pole of the season, looking for a first podium. Perhaps the chance to get it in race 1, but conditions are an unknown for the whole grid.
Yeah, conditions unknown, and now you can see the number 10. Now that is your championship leader, Oradre. Now 2 wins so far this year. It's been pretty much a flawless performance from start to finish so far in 2025. And now, well, he's going to be hoping to add yet another win to his tally, making it 3. And the Moto2 grid, they have 2 races this weekend, so double the opportunity with 50 points up for grabs.
Absolutely, and for Oradre, it's interesting to note that in World Supersport 300 and World Supersport, he raced here and in dry and wet conditions, could play a part throughout the day.
Yeah, it could, and well, that extra experience, because it has been a very, very technical layout and a technical circuit for the riders to learn, and they've been on track since Thursday. Obviously, Thursday was cut short, but it's been a hard layout to learn. 17 corners, fast and slow. And well, looking at just the layout in general, even at the end of the back straight towards turn 5, some key overtaking opportunities down the end of the back straight, and even a little bit of slipstream can put into play. As we just have 5 minutes to go now. The 5-minute board will be getting shown at the front. But plenty of fans making the way to Magny-Cours this weekend, watching on and supporting JuniorGP. And well, obviously we last came here in 2019 in France, but that was over at Le Mans. So the JuniorGP paddock, they love being here at France, but this circuit and this part of France has been known to spring up 1 or 2 surprises in terms of weather. It
has, yeah. It's very typical of the circuit that if a rain shower can appear out of nowhere on the radar, it can be, as we saw yesterday, scorching hot one day and then 10, 15 degrees cooler the next. Has a massive impact on the riders, the bikes, the setup. So today will be a challenge for everyone. Yeah, I think every single time we've looked at the weather forecast has changed from from 5 minutes ago whenever we looked at it. So now the grid just preparing themselves. It's going to be a 15-lap dash, so plenty of time to make moves still, but it's not like it's going to be a marathon, so they're going to have to get moves made pretty early on, especially on these opening laps, because racing here at Magny-Cours for the Moto2 category, it is going to be unknown. There is a chance there could be a good breakaway at the front. So if that's going to be the case, you do want to get there in the first couple of laps. Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, turn 5, or the run to turn 5 specifically, will be crucial on the opening lap. It is the first main overtaking opportunity. You will get the benefit of the slipstream, and it will be all about whether you can outbrake your rivals there to gain 1 or 2 positions. Yeah, and well, doing a little bit of housekeeping before the race gets underway, we do have a couple of penalties to get through. One of them being the number 99 of Remy San Juan, who will be starting from the back of the grid in this one, and will have 1 long lap penalty to serve. The 69 as well, he'll have a double long lap penalty for this one. So a couple of penalties being handed out, either from disobeying marshals at the end of pit exits, which could just be a case of missing the red light at the end of it. But still,
a couple of more riders as well to deal with penalties. So one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, a few penalties being handed out. A couple of back of the grid starts, as you mentioned. Home hero Johan Gimber has one. He'll start from 25th, and Alberto Soda goes from 24th. And also long laps to mention. Chabi Zarazuta does have a long lap to take in this race, so obviously he will lose 2.5, 3 seconds when he takes that at turn 8.
Yeah, turn 8, he'll be able to take that. And actually, it's not the 99, sorry. It's Johan Gimber who's going to be starting at the back of the field in the Moto2 category. But I'm sure we'll settle into things as the day goes on because, well, in total, 25 riders should be making the start. And we're not too far away from getting going. And it is going to be a tricky task as well, of course, as you mentioned, with some long laps to complete for some key contenders. And when you're actually going to be taking those long lap penalties, if you can be taking them on the opening lap or opening 2 laps, or if you're going to be waiting for as long as you can to serve it whenever this group starts to get spaced out ever so slightly. But as you can see, the grid is starting to disperse before we head out on our warm-up lap, and then we should be able to get underway for the Moto2 European Championship. Now, as we mentioned earlier on, when looking back at Jerez, it is indeed Oradre who leads the championship at the moment. Now, it was a successful round for him, and so far it has been 25 points on 2 occasions and 20 points on, of course, at Estoril in race 2. But not too much longer now before we can look at our grid for this opening Moto2 race of the day. So, your grid for Moto2 race 1. It's going to be Zarazuta on pole position alongside Oradre and Babelik, starting on the front row of our grid. Ferrandez, Manjardo and Cruces will start from row 2 as Harrison Voigt, Munoz and Ruiz go from row 3. Rosio, Tapia and Rossi Moore go from row 4, as Yambias, Fallon and Max Toth go from row 5. Josh Watley, Volpe and Mario Mayor will go from row 6, as row 7 sees Jimenez, Kursavan and Lolly go from row 7. Alcubayese, Eisenklob and Alberto Sura go from row 8, as Johan Gimber takes up our final slot at the back. So plenty to look out for this one as well. We're just moments away from getting going, and it is going to be Zarazuta on pole, going away as they head now on their green flag lap. And well, Jack, not too much longer to wait before we go lights out, and well, tension certainly high here in Magny-Cours. Plenty of people here to watch on the action as well. I'm sure plenty tuned in at home. And all eyes as well from everyone in the pit lane is going to be on the clouds, and to see if these dark clouds come in once more, because it seemed to be raining most of the time towards the pit lane area and also over at turn 3 earlier on.
Yeah, it was turn 1 and turn 3 that got the rain this morning. I just want to correct myself. It's not Chabi Zarazuta who has the long lap penalty. It's number 88, Abdullah Al-Qabazi. I misread the numbers there, so apologies for that. Zarazuta does not have the long lap penalty.
Yeah, so we'll settle into the day as it goes on. I'm sure as will the riders as well. It's been a tough weekend so far for them, but going from pole, Zarazuta, he's just going to have to go for it from lights out. It's a tricky first sector, a super quick left-hander, quickly into the turn 2, which in reality is just a kink setting up turn 3. But turn 3, one of the most important corners for these riders on the circuit. They're going to have to get the power on as soon as they can, as early as they dare, all the way to the back straight. But this is confirmation of your penalties for this one. So you can see the 77 and the 88. They will have a long lap penalty for not respecting instructions from a marshal, and that was yesterday. And of course we do have 1 or 2 back of the grids as well. But now on our warm-up lap, we're just heading through towards the final sector. Heavy on the brakes, this will be during the race. Another key overtaking opportunity at this side of the circuit over at turn 13.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can get a good run out of the corner before, you get a great slipstream. It's a tricky corner to overtake up because of the left-hand kink just in the middle of it, but it is a possible overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, and so is turn 15, and then of course you come into the final chicane. But there is a nice little run to the line as well for these riders, so it's not all decided until we are at the checkered flag. The final chicane, it's difficult to overtake through there, but it's easy to make a mistake as, well, the riders line up on the grid. Zuratuza going from P1, Aradre and Pavlik alongside. It's all on the start now. It's all on who's going to be quickest at lights out. The green flag does wave at the back of the field. The start marshal is removed from the front, and then it will be red lights on, red lights off. The lights are on now. And we go racing at Magny-Cours. It's a good start from Zuratuza, but of course he's on the outside line on the run to turn 1. He tries to swoop around the outside, but Aradre trying to fight back. But of course now Zuratuza heading towards turn 3. He is on the inside, and he does take the lead. He does get the power on straight away at the front. He's going to put the hammer down from lap 1. 15-lap race, of course, as they head through the kink of turn 4. Heading towards turn 5 now. Look out for moves. It's nearly 3 wide, and that is Ferrandez making his way up the order. So the 54 up into potentially P2 now as he looks up the inside of Aradre. Aradre a little bit wide to championship leader. Now back down to P3. A good start there, nice and clean as well from all the field.
Absolutely. It was a good start from Zuratuza as well, just to hold it around the outside of turn 1, giving him the inside through turns 2 and 3 to defend that lead. Aradre on timing still in second, but Alberto Ferrandez also with a great start actually is in P2.
Yeah, Ruiz as well, they're making up a move, getting up another position as well, as now they make their way out of one of our chicanes here, as they make their way towards the other side of the circuit. And of course we head towards Imola now, and this is one of the quickest parts of the circuit. It's a flip-flop, you're straight away on the right-hand side of the tyre. There's a slight crest beforehand as well, but at the front it is the 54 actually in second, who looks to be on the attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Ferrandez is on a charge at the moment in the early stage, just looking up the inside there, but unable to make the move.
Yeah, unable to make the move there as, well, you see the 49 going pretty wide there, so off the track he'll go. He'll rejoin, hopefully nice and safe, further back down the order, but losing positions though. That was Monjardo. So now at the front it is Ferrandez who's hit the front. He's going to try and stretch the margin already. That gap at the front has extended. It was up to 3/10 over the line. So potentially Ferrandez just thinking if any rain does appear, there was some rain expected just after 11 AM. That will be the perfect time to escape at the front at the start. So then if a red flag does come out later on in the race, you are leading.
You say that, but Zuratuza is all over the back of him, heading into turn 5, not able to outbrake him. Aradre wide again on the entry, but holds P3.
Yeah, and Ruiz now sitting at the back of that field, watching it all unfold. So is Pavlik. Of course, pole sitter in Jerez was the 44. So now confirmations of the long lap penalties that need to be taken just coming up on our timing screens, and they'll have a couple of laps to complete those, and of course if they don't respect them or forget to take their penalties, they will be handed another long lap, or we have seen in the past riders maybe miscounting the laps that they're able to take. But Pavlik now looking up the inside after being overtaken by Ruiz. They'll head side by side all the way towards Imola, and it looks like the 44 will hold on to his position.
He does, yeah. That's a tough place to defend and make a move. So credit to both of them for getting through Imola as they did.
Yeah, a solid bit of defending there from your 44. Now, Adrian Cruces as well, just behind this pack in P6. He is closing in, and well, if you have the likes of Ruiz and Pavlik fighting away, that's just going to allow the number 11 of Cruces to catch up, and that's going to allow him just to make a little bit of time, especially now if these front three begin to battle. We're going to see the group bunching up once more. Yeah,
it looks like the top three are trying to break away at the moment, but if they do battle, that will allow the others to come back towards them. Unai Aradre was all over the back of Zuratuza heading into the turn 15. He wasn't able to move into P2, but he's right there. He'll get the double slipstream on the run into turn 5, so maybe we'll see Aradre make a move in the heavy braking zone.
Yeah, Aradre at the moment, your championship leader. At what point does he start thinking about championship points and start taking podium positions? You wouldn't think just yet in the season, but here at Magny-Cours, it's produced some great racing in the past. Of course, World Superbike has came here for many, many years, and many, many times we've seen some last lap battles, and it looks like we might have something similar here in the Moto2 European Championship. But Oradre hanging on to the back of them at the moment. Zurutuza sitting comfortably in second. Right now at the front though, the lead gap seems to be almost like a yo-yo effect. And you have to say, definitely during the first sector, it's the 85 of Zurutuza who's able to catch up and get right onto the back of Fernandez. But of course, super experienced rider is the 54, so he's not going to be put into a mistake this easy.
No, absolutely not. And it is a circuit where it can ebb and flow just due to the layout, because you have different corner types, fast and slow. The straights aren't particularly long. The longest straight is 700 meters or so. So it is a circuit that ebbs and flows. We see Oradre again all over the back of Zurutuza heading into turn 15, but not quite close enough to make a move.
Pavlik as well extended his gap in P4, so Ruiz has a little bit of time now to make up on the 72, but it's Cruces now who's caught up to the back of him. As Daniel Munoz as well, they're going through your picture and having a good ride so far inside the top 10. As well, we look further down the order as the 64 of Kursavan. Battling away as well, just outside the points at the moment, a few positions outside the points at the moment. So hopefully, if he can get a double slipstream going down this back straight and try to pick up some positions. But looking up the inside, it is Zurutuza to the 85, looking for a move. Unable to make it work though, yet again.
Yep, just unable to get alongside Fernandez to make the move into P1. As you can see, lots of side-by-side action into turn 5. It is the key overtaking hotspot at this track, and it is crucial to where you finish.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you can see Eisenklob as well looking up the inside there. So he was at turn 5, but unable to make a move at this moment. But 12 laps now remain in the Moto2 European Championship. Plenty of overtaking opportunities are left, plenty of laps are left as well for Oradre just to calm himself down, get himself caught back up onto the back of them, or perhaps at the moment he just wants a little bit of distance to keep his cool, do his own pace, and then fight and attack on the last couple of laps. Because right now all he's doing is gathering data on how the front two are fighting each other at this circuit.
Exactly. Maybe for Oradre, he's just holding back at the moment, waiting for the battle at the front to ignite a little bit. But again, he closed up massively in the final sector. It did look like on that lap that Fernandez and Zurutuza were able to pull away in the middle part of the lap. So maybe Oradre is just going to learn from them as Fernandez sets the fast lap, although it has just been beaten by Pavlik.
Yeah, so the fastest lap getting shifted down the order, 138.7 being the fastest lap of the race so far. And of course that being taken by the 44. But you can see a replay now of our start. And well, you can see it was basically bars banging almost anyway. We've seen it at Jerez, and there they were just meters away from each other. But heading into turn 1, it was Zurutuza who was on the outside, but he was brave. And we can see how close there Oradre was to contact with the 44.
Yeah, Pavlik getting very close to the number 10 as the lights went out. Zurutuza, as we've mentioned a couple of times, just holding it around the outside of turn 1. A very brave move to pull off, but it gives you the inside line into turns 2 and 3.
Yeah, pure faith in his bike, pure faith in his tyre, and of course they've had a good bit of track time this weekend, but in different conditions. So going into turn 1 when it's a slightly cooler track temperature, you have to say very, very brave stuff there from him. But Pavlik at the moment, now he did set the fastest lap of the race, but he still has a 9/10 of a second gap to bridge.
He does. As we've seen though, again, we've mentioned it can ebb and flow a lot at this track, but also he can just wait for perhaps the top 3 to start battling, because he will then just close up slowly and be in the fight. Although it is now just over a second, he does need to be careful not to lose too much time to them, because then it becomes too difficult to bridge the gap.
Yeah, and certainly mentally, being within that 1 second margin is super good for yourself on board the bike. But now we come over the line the next time around. We're going to look at the pace once more. And well, 138 once more, 138.7 for the top 3. So all of them pretty much within a tenth of each other. Pavlik losing 2 tenths last time around. So with 10 laps remaining, is this where the front 3 starts to push on the pace? Because although Pavlik holds the fastest lap, it's one thing doing it over 1 lap like we've seen in qualifying at Jerez even for Pavlik, who claimed pole. It's another thing doing it all the way throughout the race.
Consistency is key in racing. It goes without saying, it's every discipline. It does look like the top 3 are just breaking away. Zurutuza having to go very defensive against Oradre there, heading into turn 5, but able to hold P2.
Yeah, also looking at the inside of Ferrandis there, but wasn't able to make it work. You can see a lot of movement in the braking zone for these Moto2 machines, but everything's nice, cool, calm and collected, and their setups are pretty dialed in by this point. But I'm sure now that they're going to be going a full race distance, it's one thing doing it in practice, just spinning laps by yourself, or maybe with one or two other riders. It's another thing doing it flat out at full chat, and also trying to understand what the tires are doing as they start to lose grip and you start to slide that bit more.
But also, as we've mentioned, the conditions are so different from what we experienced Friday and Saturday especially. So the setups might be dialed in, but it's changed massively. So that will have an impact on tyre life, bikes, bike setup, how the riders are feeling. So
yeah, you would have to say they will make up one or two changes after this race ahead of race 2 later on. Of course, 50 points up for grabs, and currently the Calyx and the Bosco Oscuro looking very, very competitive. Both chassis looking very competitive, and of course Dion Munoz now up into P7, just behind Yambias and Crucesa in this group. Now Munoz, one of the riders on the forward racing chassis as well, so he's got a slightly different setup, slightly different bike to the majority of the field. But Yambias looking up the inside there, but he wasn't going to be able to make that one work over at turn 3.
No, as you mentioned, Munoz on the forward bike compared to pretty much everyone else on the grid. He's staying in this group in this battle for 5th. The number 94 of Yambias just looking at Cruces there, but again not able to make the move. Munoz, it's a 5-rider group here, and then there's another multi-rider group right behind. It's incredibly close, this field.
Yeah, Harrison Voigt at the back of this pack at the moment, but he's keeping tabs on Sura, and while Sura, he's had a good race so far, has the 67. He's going to be looking for a good result and bring home and finish a good day for the team. If Zuratuza could also stand on the podium, but Yambias looking very racy here. He looks like he has a little bit more pace, or at least thinks that he has more pace than Cruces at the front, and he wants to up that pace to stop this battle and stop this group forming and becoming bigger.
He does. It looked like Munoz got a good run heading into the chicane there, but Yambias able to defend the position. Crucial for him. No changes there. The number 94 staying ahead of the number 17.
Now, of course, Jean Gimbert, he did start at the back of the field. He's back up into P14 now, so a great ride. He's managed to really get his elbows out in the first couple of laps, and now inside the point. Really, what more can you ask for in this race? Because really, it was just damage limitation, and then race 2, you can have a proper crack at it.
Absolutely. Number 7 fighting his way through the field in the early stages. Pavlek gaining a bit more time. He's gained a couple of attempts on a ride race, so maybe he was just holding back, saving his tyre, and then as the second half of the race gets underway, we'll just close that gap slowly.
Well, if he wants to do that, he still needs to push on. It's over a second gap as Yambias gets ahead of Crucesa, nearly 4 wide going on to the back straight. It's 2 by 2. Zuratuza still looking at the inside at the front. It is going to be wide though for Aradri. That is confirmation of the fastest lap of the race. And Sura still remaining 3rd in this group. No real moves getting made so far, but you can just see further back down the order, Ruiz has lost quite a bit of time, you would have to say.
He has, yeah. I just looked it looked like there might have been a bit of smoke coming out of one of the bikes. I'm not 100% sure. It just looked like it. Everyone seems to be running normally at the moment as we see a move there heading into the 180-degree corner.
Yeah, a good move there from Rossi Moore. So picking up another position for him. Inside the top 10 at the moment is the 92. And well, Pavlik, he's gained up nearly 6/10 this time around, so he is absolutely on it. He's on a flyer at the moment. It was the fastest lap of the race last time around. And well, you would have to say this is going to be his chance, because he was quite a bit faster so far this lap, and now you can see on the back of Aradri, and I think that mainly was from Aradri's mistake at turn 5. He just ran a little bit wide and has lost quite a bit of time, as well Yambias still leads this pack. Now Dion Munoz, we've seen him plenty of experience here in the Junior GP paddock and in the World Championship paddock. He has a lot of experience, he's raced with a lot of riders, so you would have to say this is going to be no strange situation to him. He's just going to be biding his time at the moment, and if he can get himself latched on to Sura ahead, it's going to be, well, it's going to be exciting. A couple of laps. There's about 4 different lines through turn 3. Daniel Munoz on the inside of all of them, but unable to make that one work as the lines merge once more.
Absolutely. We just see Pavlek having a look up the inside of Oradre at turn 5, making it stick under braking, and the Polish rider moves into the podium positions.
Yeah, into the podium for the 44. And well, Oradre is not finished below second so far this season, so this is going to be an interesting situation for him. He wants to stay on the podium, you would have to think. But heading into this weekend, of course, your championship leader is the number 10. And well, 28 points was his advantage before this weekend. So still going to have a pretty comfortable margin that you don't want to be throwing it down the road if something's not feeling 100%.
A key point of being able to be a championship contender is if you know you can't win, you take the best result possible. Maybe for Oradre, he can't get on the podium, but there's no point risking it. Take P4, take the points, you lose a bit of a gap in the championship standings, but you still finish with a healthy amount of points.
Yeah, a solid amount of points it would be if he was able to still finish in P4. But, well, there's been quite a bit of shake-ups before this weekend, and one of them, of course, being Ferrandez, who's changed teams heading into this round, and straight away he seems to be adapting very, very well to that bike.
Yeah, absolutely. He's taken to it like a duck to water. He's quick straight away, leading this race by just over half a second at the moment. Pavlek just 4 tenths behind Zuratuza, so that battle for second is about to heat up.
Yeah, and that is the fastest lap of the race. Once more, a 1:38.5. And a look down the inside of Zuratuza, but he's not going to make that one work this time around. But Pavlek, he's closed in 2 tenths in that first sector alone. So all eyes are going to be on the 44. Has he got something in this late race? And, well, you have to wonder as well at the front, because it has been sitting quite comfortably at a couple of tenths, around half a second between Ferrandez and Zuratuza. So you have to wonder, does the 54 have anything left in the tank, or is he giving it 100%?
He's not come under too much pressure in the last few laps, so it's possible he's been managing his tyres as well, knowing that either Oradre or Pavlek would be able to make a late charge. Pavlek all over the back of Zuratuza heading through the chicane here. Not close enough, again, to make the overtake, but we're seeing a couple of different lines between the two riders as well, and that will play a massive part.
Yeah, it'll play a massive part, and since we've switched to the Pirelli compound rubber, and it's been some exciting racing in Moto2, it's definitely spiced things up, and Cruces actually has dropped to 10th. So a mistake there from Cruces, losing out quite a few positions and allowing the likes of Yambias through, and that's actually going to promote Munoz all the way up to P6 now. So Munoz having a good ride. Gimbert, we mentioned him earlier on, he's dropped outside the points, so P16 at the moment now for him. He'll be hoping to at least score 1 or 2 point scoring positions, and I think that'll be job done for race 1. But 7 tenths of a second is the gap at the front of this field. It is Ferrandez who has stretched the margin by 2 tenths over this last lap.
He has. With Zuratuza coming under pressure, that will allow Ferrandez to build a little bit of a gap. As you see in the live championship standings, it would come down to 22 points between Oradre and Ferrandez as it stands, obviously with 5 laps to go here and another race and several other throughout the season. But just to give an idea of how the points will flow if things stay as they are.
Yeah, 22 points of a margin. That's within one race as Cruces continuing to fight, and he's right at the back of this pack now. And, well, you would have to wonder if he'd be getting a little bit concerned at the moment, because he is dropping quite rapidly. Well, he's down in P11 for the number 11, not where he would be wanting to be at all, as, Munoz looking to take Sura in P5, so potentially a top 5 finish on the cards here for Daniel Munoz, and Ruiz back into P7 there from him, but you can see grid positions up from 24th on the grid is Alberto Sura. Such an impressive ride so far, but you've had to work so hard on these last couple laps, and with Munoz on his tail, you would have to think Sura has worked his tyres hard already, and it's going to be a tricky end to this race.
Sura will be riding defensively now to try and keep Munoz behind. It will be an incredible result for him to finish P5. Even P6 would be amazing from where he started. We just see here, Oradre has dropped back massively from the lead 3, so it looks like he's perhaps settling for that P4 position.
Yeah, you would have to think so. Now it's over at 2 seconds, as 72 actually has been handed a long lap penalty, so that is going to be for Ruiz. So disappointment there for Ruiz. Of course, previous podium finisher in the Moto2 category a couple of years ago. Not a podium yet so far in 2025, but Pavlik looking down the inside now at turn 5, and he makes that one work. He makes that one stick and demotes Zuratuza back down to P3. So where can the 85 fight back?
It will have to be in one of the heavy braking zones, but we've seen from Pavlik, he's able to build a gap very quickly once he makes a move. He's just over 9 tenths behind Ferrandez at the moment with 4 laps to go. If he can get onto the back of the 54 quickly, we will have a battle for the win here.
Yeah, and there is confirmation of that long lap penalty. So that is going to be the 72 of Ruiz, who's going to have to serve that. But Zuratuza, he's lost 4 tenths of a second, and whether that's losing 4 tenths or simply Pavlik being quicker than 4 tenths, it was a very, very close moment there, to say the least. So of course you had the 72 of Ruiz, Servin's long lap penalty as well. It was a crash from Cruces, and it looks like Harrison Voigt was involved in that one as well. So a heart-stopping moment there, and it looks like Cruces, his point scoring opportunity is definitely gone. It looks like his race could come to an end now as the marshals push that bike to safety, and Harrison Voigt, well, he's going to be dropping down the order as well, and he's going to have a lot of dirt on his tyres after that one.
He is, yeah. He'll have to try and clean those tyres as quickly as possible. He'll definitely lose grip. Obviously unfortunate for both of them.
Yeah, unfortunate, and here is a replay of that instance. You had Ruiz going through the long lap now. It's just appearing to picture the purple bike. Looks to have maybe lost the front, and then it's just pushed Harrison Voigt wide. So Harrison Voigt, nonetheless there, he's done quite well because he's had the bike basically hit into the side of him, and he's managed to set it up and carry it on through the gravel, although he has dropped now to P19 unexpectedly. He's still doing well to hold on in this race, but it's going to be an end to race 1 for Cruces. Disappointment for him, but the pace super hot inside the top 10.
It has been, yeah. It's been incredibly close and incredibly fast in the top 10 in race 1 here for the Moto2 European Championship. We just see Pavlik. He has closed that gap to Ferrandez. On our timing screens in the commentary box, it's almost 8 tenths, 0.770. You can see from the graphics here, he is massively quicker than Ferrandez at this point.
Yeah, I think at the moment, it's not if, it's when. And when can Pavlik make the move, and where can he make it stick? Now, of course, we mentioned it at top of the show. Turn 5 being a good key overtaking opportunity. Turn 1, it's going to be tricky, but it is possible if you can get yourself alongside into the braking zone. Turn 13 as well, as we head through towards the final corner now, and that, of course, is another overtaking opportunity. And heading out the chicane, you can just see, we spoke about it, it's so easy to make a mistake on the inside curb, and Ferrandez drops back down to P2, and Pavlik, well, it might be tricky to make a move going into the chicane, as he has a big, big moment through T1, and now dropping back down to second. So the top 2 changing up positions now at the moment, and the top 2 making 1 or 2 mistakes as we head on to the penultimate lap.
They've got a second in hand over Zuratuza in third, so it probably won't cost them on this lap. If they keep making mistakes, it will. Pavlik getting close to Zuratuza, heading into the braking zone, but not able to make the move stick this time. And you can see Zuratuza has closed up after those couple of mistakes at the end of the last lap and the start of this one.
Yeah, so Zuratuza remaining in P3 at the moment. He has a front row ticket to this battle. Pavlik, can he continue to carry on at this pace? Because he had a big, big moment on the front there, almost lost it in second. He's pushing on, and every little mistake is going to hand it once more to Ferrandez. But we've seen Ferrandez make his own mistake at the final chicane, as now we head towards the final couple of set corners now. Head towards Imola before we make our way to turn 13. Heavy on the brakes we go once more. Zuratuza again, a little bit of time on the brakes, as Pavlik, a little bit wide actually for Pavlik, but back on the throttle, heading through the kink of turn 14, flat out on these Moto2 bikes before they sit upright into turn 15, and of course, heavy on the anchors once more. Now this is where Ferrandez made his mistake last time around, as we head on to the final lap, the 54. No mistakes this time.
No such mistake this time. It did look like on that camera at the chicane there were a couple of raindrops potentially, so maybe that would explain the mistakes from the last couple of laps. But yeah, Pavlik still in second, still close to Ferrandez on this final lap.
Yes, of course, we're on the final lap of the Moto2 European Championship, race 1, and Will Pavlik, he's going to try and get into the slipstream as Mario Mayor, a crash for him. So disappointment there from the 82. He was running MP14. Just inside the points, but he is going to be dropping down the order pretty rapidly now as well. Ferrandis looking for a move as the red flag does come out. So the red flag out on timing screens, and that is going to be an end to this one. And Pavlik so disappointed. So that is going to be Ferrandis winning race 1 in Moto2. So a great ride, and it just shows, we spoke about it right at the start, how important the final couple of laps are going to be. But I'm sure they'll show some sportsmanship between the two of them. It has been a good battle, a couple of mistakes from both of them. But JuniorGP, he will be going back to the drawing board, you would think, for this next one. Just trying to make up some positions and try and make up a couple of attempts. Really, JuniorGP was there from the start, just like a Radri, but they just need a couple of clicks, couple attempts to get themselves fighting for the victory. So they'll head into the pit lane. Of course, no restart, as it is over 2/3 race distance. And then the riders will make their way back into the pit lane. The pit lane entry just located at the final complex, and there is the 82 machine. So disappointment from Mario Mayor. As you can just see, the bike like a bucking bronco, and down he goes. He lost the rear, and well, that lasted for a long time. So real disappointment there for Mario Mayor. As coming over the line here, this is towards turn 1. This is your race leaders, as the red flag was shown at the end of pit lane. So celebrations will begin in Parc Fermé. Of course, celebrations today will be a little bit more subdued than normal, for a good reason. As you can just see, pitboard being prepared for celebrations, and of course the ribbon on the front fairing of the 54 machines. And I'm sure he'll dedicate that one to Borja Gomez. And you can just see actually the Borja Gomez pitboard out, always in our hearts. So I'm sure he'll remain in everyone's thoughts throughout today and throughout these celebrations. And it shouldn't be too much longer until we can hear from your race winner. Jack will be down in pit lane to have a discussion with him. But Alberto Sura, great result there from him. And there is, always in our hearts, bro, for Borja Gomez. A super emotional day for everyone here in the JuniorGP paddock. And well, it's moments like this where everyone comes together like one big family, as does happen in motorcycle racing. But Pavlik, well, he was disappointed with that one. You would have to say he did have race winning pace. So watch out for race 2 later on. The 44 is definitely going to be one to watch. But we did mention as well, quite a few changes heading into this weekend for the 54 of Alberto Ferrandis. And well, it doesn't look like it's affected them at all. You can see him putting on a shirt with, of course, all his team sponsors on it for him to celebrate on the podium. High fives, handshakes all around in Parc Fermé. And of course, the Moto2 field, they will be back out, so another 25 points up for grabs before focus turns to round 4 of the season. But the class in general getting pretty lucky there with the weather. No rain, or well, not too much rain considering what we've seen in the last chance race at the start of today. But Harrison Voigt as well, after that moment, after he was involved in Cruz's crash, he's down to P19 in the finishing order. But definitely point scoring potential, you would have to say. As the official winning margin will be half a second across these 14 laps. Of course, results taken from the penultimate lap. And as you can see, the podium just at the top of Parc Fermé. Great facilities here at Magny-Cours. And, well, they'll be celebrating for not too long before they turn their attention one more. But Ferrandis celebrating victory here, and he will be enjoying this one and going into race 2 with a lot of confidence. You can just hear as well some of the other bikes getting warmed up in the pit lane for our next race in action, which of course will be the European Talent Cup. We have a packed schedule here today, 5 races in total. Just one, of course, for the JuniorGP guys. So actually 6 races in total here today, 5 still to go, as all the teams will celebrate, and then the debriefs will start. Where can they improve? What settings do they need to change? Whether that be suspension or even maybe even some of the weight distribution on the bike. Of course, warmer temperatures yesterday, so even little things like the tire pressures on the bikes are going to make a big, big difference. Of course, with it being so hot yesterday, they'll be able to get away with running slightly lower tire pressures than what they would need in cooler conditions. But you can just see a replay of that mistake, and well, that was where Pavel briefly got into the lead on the run to turn 1. This was just before what was the final lap without us knowing. As Pavel there, he just had a big, big moment heading towards turn 2, and then into turn 3, it was 54 who was able to take the lead once more. And you can just see the bike moving around underneath him. He had to set that one up as we head, and we can hear from them in just a moment's time as they go to speak to Jack down in pit lane.
Alberto Ferrandis, your first win of the season. Just sum up that race for you. It looked tricky out there.
Yeah, so this weekend was hard because we lost our friend Borja the first free practice. But yes, all the rest, I feel very good with the new team, with the new bike, well, the same bike, but this of his team. So yes, I'm really happy. We do a very good job this weekend. We improve a lot the setting of the bike and all this. I'm happy also for the race. I push from the beginning. And yes, I'm really happy. Thank you to all my team, to the sponsors, all my family, and this victory is for Borja.
And now in Spanish.
Bueno, ha sido un fin de semana muy duro porque perdimos nuestro amigo Borja el jueves. Pero bueno, todo el resto ha sido difícil afrontarlo, pero aún así hemos trabajado muy bien con la moto. Me he sentido muy cómodo con el nuevo equipo, con la moto. Y bueno, hemos trabajado mucho en mejorar el setting de la moto, lo hemos conseguido. Y nada, estoy contento también con la carrera que he hecho porque he salido y desde el principio he empujado muy fuerte, me he puesto primero y he ido ahí manteniendo el gap con el segundo. He tenido ahí un problema en esta curva de aquí, en la curva 15, porque se me ha puesto el mundo muerto. Pero bueno, aún así lo hemos sabido solventar bien y nada, estoy muy contento y a por la siguiente.
Alberto, thank you very much.
So touching stuff there as well. We look at the race, and the race start, it was Zarathustra on pole position, but all the way to turn 1, he was battled all the way from the start. Straight away, Aradu went on the attack, trying to get himself up into the podium positions, comfortably sitting in 3rd before Alberto Ferrandis hit the front on the 54. Straight away though, Zarathustra putting him under pressure. The number 10, your championship leader, continued to sit in P3. But Pavlik, he was the rider on the move, briefly getting ahead of Ruiz there, up inside P4. Moves being made though further down the order. That was Eisenkopf making his way through briefly at turn 5. But Zarathustra, he had to work hard for it, as did Daniel Munoz, fighting his way through the field in this one, finishing inside the top 5. Alberto Sura as well had to fight from right the way back down the field. Cruzes also involved in this battle with Yambias, as Ruiz soon fell back as, well, Pavlik made his way through the field. Oradri, it looked like at the start he had the pace, but he did drop away from the top 3. Remained in P4 for the rest of this one. Then we had this moment, Ruiz taking his long lap penalties, then suddenly, out of nowhere, you have Crucez's bike coming through the long lap, as well as Harrison Voigt after a crash. Voigt stayed on it though, luckily, as the number 11 fell out of this one. Now a mistake at the final corner as well from the 54, and well, just briefly, Pavlik led 2 corners he led for before the 54 fought back. It was a race full of mistakes there from Mayo Mayor as well. He crashed out of that one after a high side, and that brought out the red flag. The red flag was brought out on the penultimate lap, and the results were taken. But now we can enjoy the podium celebrations. And well, a great result from Xabi Zurutuza. He will be hoping to go 1 or 2 better later on. P3 in the end for him. And Pavlik, it was frustration at the checkered flag, but I'm sure he'll be happy with that one overall. Alberto Fernandez does take victory though in this one and dedicates it, of course, to Borja Gomez. You can see the pit board to the left of the team member, but the trophies will be handed out now by the president of the National Speed Commission. And first of all, to the team, before, of course, we make our way to our riders. First, to Zurutuza. He's happy with that one. Point to the sky as well. Before Pavlik, it'll be his turn to celebrate. Of course, the Vice President of the FIM Europe now, handing out the P2 trophy. As Alberto Fernandez now will celebrate victory here at Magny-Cours. Race 1 for the Moto2 European Championship goes his way, and a point to his team, a point to the sky as well. An emotional day, a tough day, but still an important day.
Voilà, applaudissements donc pour ce superbe podium. Alberto Fernandez vainqueur devant Milan Pavelec et Xabi Zurutuza. Guys, could you please join on the first stop for the picture?
National anthem has been complete.
On the podium, yes,
and,
for the picture, guys. Thank you very much.
A nice picture on the podium as well with all the riders.
Voilà, applaudissements donc et
so a nice crowd as well here to watch all the action unfold from Magny-Cours. There is some smiles here as race 1 for the Moto2 European Championship does come to an end. And well, it was Alberto Fernandez who took victory, and well, the 54 did take victory, and not Pavlik. So we will wait, but it was a great race from the 54, who stormed victory by half a second over Pavlik, and then claiming the final spot on the podium, it was Zurutuza. Oradri finished down in P4 with Daniel Munoz in P5. Alberto Sura finished in 6th as Rossi Moore took 7th. Marco Tapia took P8. But a great race here today, and definitely we're going to have a lot to look out for in race 2 later on. So it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, a red flag was brought out on the final lap, meaning that the result was cut short. And Will Pavlik, he will be wondering what he could have done in the final half a lap that was remaining. You have to wonder where that move would have came, whether it would have been turn 13 or turn 15. You definitely think the 44 would have had a shot, at least, launched an attack and seen what happened. But nonetheless, still P2 for him. It's going to be an important 20 championship points as well. The The build-up will start very, very soon. Of course, Moto2 will be back out on track later on, so plenty for you to look out for. But now, Alberto Ferrandez, he will have, once again, the opportunity later on to do the double here in Magny-Cours. But you can see some of the field making their way around. Number 88, down in P20 in the finish up, but still solid result. As you can see, Oradre and Pavlik fighting away in the opening couple of laps. Of course, Oradre, it was 7.2 seconds away from the podium at the finish up. So you have to wonder, what does race 2 hold for your championship leader? A lot of pressure now on his back ahead of race 2. Another chance for Ferrandez to reduce his championship lead. And Suratuza pushed hard going into turn 1. You can just see a little bit of chatter on the front end, a lot of chatter on the front end actually, from the 85 as they made their way into turn 1. But now, as we have a quick look as race 1 comes to a close at how things look. And it is your winner, Alberto Ferrandez, half a second over Pavlik Zuratuza on the podium. Oradre and Daniel Munoz took 4th and 5th, as Alberto Sura, Rossi Moore and Marco Tapia took 6th, 7th and 8th. Francesco Mangiardo took P9, while the final spot inside the top 10 was taken by Morozio, as Yambias just missing out half a second between the two of them, as Ruiz, Fallon and Gimbert took 12th, 13th and 14th. Kursavan, Volpe and Lolly finish out the top 17 in your order, with Harrison Voigt down in P19 ahead of Alcobaeze and Eisenklob taking out the final finisher spot in P20. So a dramatic one there from Moto2 race 1, and that has shaked up the championship standings quite a bit, with Unai Oradre 22 points now being his advantage. It has been reduced as Alberto Ferrandez makes his way into P2 in the championship. Pavlik Mangiardo and Zuratuza inside the top 5 in the standings now, as Sura and Eric Fernandez stay in P6 and P7. Daniel Munoz in P8 as Ruiz sits P9 in the championship standings. And you can see Roberto Garcia rounding out the top 10 in the standings. Of course, a lot to look out for this weekend. Some riders choosing not to take part, but still 25 points up for grabs later on. The championship lead now sits at 22 points. What's it going to be at the end of round 3? And then we head to our halfway point of the season next time out. It's where things start to get serious here in the Moto2 European Championship. But your winner this time out was Ferrandez. What a ride. Only 1 or 2 mistakes, but he was able to fight back. The 54 takes victory here in race 1 at Magny-Cours.